I accidentally destroyed my beautiful neighbor's garden. But her little girl had a different plan. The worst welcome in neighborhood history. The first person I met after buying my dream house watched me destroy her garden, not on purpose. That would have been less embarrassing. I had officially owned the house for exactly 6 minutes and 43 seconds. Yes, I checked later. Because disasters deserve accurate timing. The moving truck had just left. The street looked like something from a postcard. Kids riding bicycles, neighbors watering flowers, an old golden retriever sleeping under a maple tree. Someone nearby was playing soft country music. I smiled. This place is perfect. Exactly 3 seconds later, I grabbed the biggest bookshelf I owned. I don't need help. I've got this. Those were famous last words. Halfway to my porch, the bottom of the box ripped open. Books exploded everywhere. I stumbled backward, tried to save the shelf, missed completely. The bookshelf crashed into my wooden fence. The fence leaned forward, tapped a row of flower pots, and suddenly, it looked like slow motion. One pot tipped, then another, then another. Crash, 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 crash. 12 colorful flower pots rolled across the sidewalk. One giant sunflower landed upside down, right beside my shoe. The neighborhood became silent. Even the birds seemed disappointed. I stood there, holding one lonely gardening glove that somehow wasn't mine. Well, this isn't ideal. A screen door creaked open. A woman stepped outside. She wore denim overalls over a white t-shirt, a messy ponytail, gardening gloves, a tiny streak of dirt across one cheek. She looked at the broken flowers, then at me, then at the gardening glove in my hand. I awkwardly held it out. I think this belongs to you. She blinked. You destroyed my garden and somehow stole my glove. I honestly don't know how. For one painfully long second, neither of us moved. Then a laugh escaped her. She covered her mouth, tried to stop, failed completely. Within seconds, she was laughing so hard she had to sit on the porch step. I stared. You're laughing? She nodded. You look like you're waiting for the police. I kind of am. That made her laugh even harder. Before I could apologize again, a tiny voice shouted, "Moo!" A little girl sprinted out of the house, wearing rain boots, even though the sky was perfectly blue. She stopped beside the broken flowers, looked at the mess, looked at me, then folded her tiny arms. Question. Go ahead. Are you always this dramatic? Or are we special? I couldn't stop smiling. I think you're special. She nodded proudly. I knew it. Her mom sighed. Luna, you can't interview strangers. I'm not. I'm deciding if we should keep him. I blinked. Keep me. She nodded. You look fun. Her mom buried her face in her hands. I'm so sorry. An old man pushed open his front gate. Coffee mug, newspaper tucked under one arm. He looked at the broken garden, then at me, without saying a word. Another elderly woman appeared beside him. She accepted it with a smile. I told you, the new guy would embarrass himself before lunch. The old man pointed at me. I thought he'd last until dinner. I looked completely confused. Were you two betting on me? The woman grinned. Sweetheart, this street has been retired for 15 years. We bet on everything. The old man walked over and offered me his hand. I'm Frank, Neighborhood Welcome Committee. You have a welcome committee. No, but it sounds more professional than old people with too much free time. For the first time all morning, I laughed without feeling embarrassed. Maybe, just maybe, I'd crashed into the right neighborhood. Then Luna quietly slipped something into my hand. She whispered, flowers forgive people faster than people do. She closed my fingers around the seed. So don't throw this one away. I looked at the tiny seed, then at the broken garden, then at the smiling little girl standing in front of me. I had no idea that this tiny sunflower would become the reason my life changed forever. The day I became part of their world. The next morning, I showed up at Olivia's house carrying a wheelbarrow, 14 brand new flowers, 3 bags of fresh soil, a tiny lemon tree. Luna counted everything carefully. 12, 13, 14. She looked at me. You bought extra? I panicked. She nodded thoughtfully. I like panic. It usually comes with presents. Olivia laughed. Luna, we don't reward panic. I wasn't. I was complimenting his shopping while we unloaded everything. Frank wandered over with his morning coffee. He looked inside the wheelbarrow. Well, you robbed the garden center. I wanted options. Frank nodded seriously. Good answer. Then he leaned closer. Just don't let Martha see the lemon tree. I frowned. Why? Before he could answer, the elderly woman from yesterday marched across the street. She stopped. Her eyes locked onto the tiny tree. Oh? You brought another lemon tree. Frank immediately looked away. I don't know this man. I blinked. What happened? Martha sighed dramatically. 5 years ago, Frank planted one. It grew. Exactly. Frank proudly corrected her. The squirrel stole one. Luna pointed toward the little tree. I vote we name it. Olivia smiled. You name everything. My rain boots are called Kevin. Frank almost dropped his coffee. The cat is named Kevin too. Luna shrugged. They get along. We planted flowers together. Olivia showed me how deep each hole should be. Apparently, I've been planting everything upside down. Twice. Luna blew a tiny plastic whistle. Garden foul. I looked around. What happened? She pointed at me. You buried the shovel. I looked down. I did. Frank whispered. I'm starting to think gravity has a personal problem with you. Around noon, the work was finally finished. The garden looked brighter than before. Fresh colors. Butterflies already circling the flowers. Even the neighborhood seemed happier. My grandmother started this garden. Every flower meant something. I looked at the tiny white daisies. What about those? She said they remind people to be kind, especially on ordinary days. She pointed at the sunflowers. And those? They always face the light, no matter where it comes from. For a second, neither of us spoke. Luna quietly slipped her little hand into mine. Ethan. Yeah. I think Grandma would have liked you. I swallowed hard. That's a really big compliment. She smiled. I know. Just then, a soccer ball came flying over the fence. It landed perfectly, right in the middle of the brand new flower bed. Everyone gasped. A little boy slowly peeked over the fence. Oops. He looked absolutely terrified. Before anyone could say a word, Luna shouted, Run. The poor kid disappeared instantly. Frank burst into laughter. He runs faster than the mailman. Olivia carefully picked up the soccer ball, then smiled. Let's give it back. We walked next door together. I'm really sorry. Olivia handed him the ball. No flowers were seriously injured. I pointed toward the garden. They're tougher than they look. The little boy smiled. Can I help water them tomorrow? Luna answered before anyone else could. Only if you bring cookies. The boy nodded confidently. My grandma makes chocolate chip. Frank clapped once. Congratulations. Everyone laughed. That evening, as the sun dipped below the rooftops, Olivia handed me a small glass jar. Inside it was the sunflower seed Luna had given me yesterday. I thought she gave this to you. She did. Olivia smiled softly. I looked at the tiny seed. So, how many has she given away? Olivia's smile faded. She looked toward the garden. Only one. Before I could ask what she meant, a black SUV rolled slowly past the house. It didn't stop. It didn't honk. It simply drove by. Luna, who had been laughing only seconds earlier, went completely silent. She stared at the disappearing SUV, then quietly whispered, Daddy. The black SUV disappeared around the corner. Nobody spoke. Luna didn't wave. She didn't run after it. She simply stared at the empty road, as if she already knew who had been inside. Olivia gently rested a hand on her shoulder. You okay, sweetheart? Luna nodded. The kind of nod children use when they don't want adults to worry. I'm fine. But she wasn't. You could hear it in her voice. That evening, I couldn't stop thinking about her. So the next morning, I walked across the street carrying a paper bag. Luna opened the door. She looked up. What's that? Emergency supplies. She peeked inside. Chocolate chip cookies, 3 juice boxes, and a tiny gardening hat with sunflowers stitched on it. She giggled. Why the hat? I whispered. Because every head gardener needs the right uniform. She immediately put it on. Do I look official? I nodded seriously. I've never met a more qualified gardener. An hour later, the whole neighborhood gathered for the annual Summer Bloom Festival. Colorful ribbons stretched across the street. Children painted flower pots. A local band played old country songs. Food trucks filled the air with the smell of fresh burgers and cinnamon rolls. Frank flipped burgers like he was hosting a cooking show. Burger number 17. Still recognizable. Martha tasted one. Barely. The crowd laughed. Luna entered the flower pot painting contest, then added 3 stick figures, 1 medium, 1 tall. I pointed at the tallest one. Who's that? She smiled. That's you. And this. I pointed at the medium figure. Mo. And the little one. Meh. I looked around. Who's missing? Her smile became smaller. I didn't have enough room. The answer stayed with me long after she walked away. The festival announced the family gardening challenge. Teams had 15 minutes to create the prettiest flower bed. Frank shouted across the street, Ethan, you're with Olivia and Luna. Olivia laughed. We're definitely losing. Frank winked. You've already got the best gardener. The whistle blew. Everyone started digging, planting, watering. Meanwhile, I accidentally stepped backward, straight into the small decorative pond. Splash! The entire festival froze. I knew he'd fall into something today. Luna ran over, holding out my shoe. You dropped this. I accepted it with as much dignity as a soaking wet man could. She whispered, You made today funny again. When time was up, the judges walked through every garden. First place went to another family. They had perfect flowers, perfect rows, perfect symmetry. Then the judges reached ours. One of them smiled. This isn't the neatest garden, but it's the happiest. He held up a blue ribbon, Community Spirit Award. The crowd applauded. Luna hugged the ribbon like it was Olympic gold. We won. Frank shouted. I bet $5 they would. Martha rolled her eyes. You bet on your own neighbors. I'm investing emotionally. As darkness settled, fireworks lit up the sky. Red, blue, gold. Luna quietly slipped her hand into mine. Ethan, if someone leaves, can another person still stay? I looked at her for a long moment, then knelt beside her. I can't promise what other people will do, but I can promise you something. What? I'll always show up. For birthdays, For school plays, for planting flowers, for bad days, and for the good ones too. She searched my face, making sure I meant every word without saying anything. She wrapped both arms around me. Olivia watched us from a few steps away. There were tears in her eyes, not from sadness, from relief. Because for the first time in a very long time, Luna believed someone. Just then, a familiar voice came from behind us. I guess I'm already too late. We turned. Ryan stood beneath the festival lights, holding a small overnight bag and looking at the family moment. He realized he hadn't missed just one event. He had missed years. Ryan stood beneath the festival lights for the first time. He looked scared, not of Olivia, not of me, of a 6-year-old girl who wasn't running to hug him anymore. Luna slowly stepped forward. Ryan smiled carefully. Hey, Peanut. She stopped a few feet away. I got your message. I'm sorry I couldn't come earlier. Luna looked down. You said that last time too. Ryan's smile faded. I know. And the time before that. I know. And before that? This time, he had no answer. Olivia gently placed a hand on Luna's shoulder. Sweetheart, you don't have to fix this. Ryan nodded. She's right. I broke her. It's my job. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then Ryan reached into his backpack. I didn't bring candy. I brought this. He pulled out a small wooden birdhouse. It wasn't perfect. One side was slightly crooked. I built it myself. I still glued one wall upside down. Frank whispered to me, I like him a little more now. Luna carefully took the birdhouse. She ran one tiny finger across the roof. I did. It isn't perfect. Ryan nodded. Silence. Then Luna looked at him. I don't need perfect. I just need you to come. I will. She shook her head. No, don't promise. Just come. Those 3 words hit every adult standing there. The next Saturday, exactly at 9 in the morning, a pickup truck stopped outside Olivia's house. Ryan climbed out. No fancy clothes, no expensive watch, just jeans, work boots, and gardening gloves. Frank looked at me. He actually came. He actually did. Ryan walked straight to Luna. What are we building today, boss? She handed him a tiny shovel. You're on dirt duty. No promotion yet. He saluted. Yes, ma'am. For the next 3 hours, nobody talked about the past. Nobody argued. Nobody blamed anyone. They simply planted flowers, laughed, got covered in dirt, and somewhere between the roses and the sunflowers, healing quietly began. Around lunchtime, Kevin the orange cat jumped straight into the fresh flower bed. Again, Frank threw both hands into the air. You're banned from gardening. Kevin stared at Frank and fell asleep. The whole street exploded with laughter. Even Ryan laughed so hard, he accidentally dropped his shovel. As the sun began to set, Mrs. Parker walked across the street carrying an old wooden sign. My husband made this years ago. Ryan and I helped place it beside the garden. The sign read, Luna smiled. No. She gently pointed lower. It needs one more thing. She picked up a paintbrush and carefully wrote 4 tiny words underneath. Thanks for staying. Nobody spoke. Not Frank, not Martha, not Olivia, not even Ryan, because every single person knew. Those 4 words weren't only for me. They were for everyone who had chosen to show up. That evening, the neighborhood gathered around the garden. Children chased fireflies. Frank somehow burned hot dogs again. Martha claimed it was impossible. Ryan quietly repaired the broken fence I'd knocked over on my first day. You didn't have to. He smiled. I know. But some things are worth fixing. I looked toward Luna, who was laughing while watering the flowers. Then, at Olivia. Finally, I looked at the very first sunflower, now standing taller than all the others. Funny, a few months earlier, I thought I had ruined someone's garden. I hadn't. Where lonely people became neighbors, and friends become family.